eventually I'm going to find a guy. And then who knows what after that.
For over a decade, Meri Brown has lived a life that felt more like solitude than marriage. Her voice drowned in silence, her worth measured only by what she sacrificed. She herself admitted she couldn't remember the last time someone truly checked in on her, the last time she felt seen in her own home. But suddenly, drama ignited like wildfire in the sister wives world when Meri, the once legally bound wife of Kody Brown and the long-standing matriarch who endured years of neglect, made a bold move of defiance that shocked everyone. What started as a simple act of self-expression spiraled into a showdown that ripped open old betrayals, reignited the most painful family wounds, and left fans stunned with questions about loyalty, boundaries, and the cost of silence. It began with an Instagram post. Meri poured out her heart in raw, unfiltered words, reflecting on her journey, her growth, and her gratitude. She wasn't hiding anymore. She wasn't polishing her story for appearances. This was her truth, stripped bare. But Kody Brown, now infamous for his cold favoritism and emotional abandonment, reportedly demanded she take it down. He saw her courage not as healing but as a threat, claiming it damaged the family's image. What he didn't expect was Meri's fiery refusal. She would not erase herself again. She clapped back, and with that defiance, Meri shattered the mold of silence that had chained her for years. This moment marked a turning point. Fans who had watched Meri play the role of the quiet sufferer, the wife who endured rejection while still begging for scraps of Kody's attention, now witnessed a woman standing tall. Her voice, unapologetic and raw, went viral. It wasn't just a message to Kody. It was a declaration to every woman who had ever been dismissed, diminished, or silenced. Meri's rebellion struck a chord that echoed far beyond the Brown family. But the fury didn't just stop at Kody. Her stand reignited bitter memories of the Coyote Pass land dispute, where Kody cruelly declared that Meri didn't deserve an equal share because she only had one child. With one cold sentence, he had reduced her decades of devotion to nothing. That memory came roaring back, and fans saw Meri's Instagram post for what it really was, a rejection of a system that had devalued her for far too long. The internet rallied behind her, with thousands of comments cheering the rebirth of a woman who had finally found her voice, even if it meant torching bridges that should have burned years ago. Yet as Meri stepped into her power, her complicated bond with Robyn Brown resurfaced in the conversation. To fans, Robyn had always been the wedge that split the fragile family apart when she joined as the fourth wife in 2010, later becoming Kody's only legal spouse. Ironically, it was Meri herself who had enabled that marriage, divorcing Kody so he could adopt Robyn's children. A sacrifice shown as noble on the show, but one that marked the beginning of Meri's isolation. She gave up her legal place as his wife, only to be abandoned emotionally in return. For years, Kody's affection shifted more and more toward Robyn, leaving Meri starved of love and validation. Christine and Janelle eventually broke free, choosing to walk away, but Meri lingered, tangled in hope and manipulation. That made her recent defiance even more explosive. In an emotional interview, Meri admitted she had always felt out of place, even judged, among the other wives. Christine and Janelle once told her not to wear makeup or style her hair, implying that beauty was incompatible with their lifestyle. That moment left her humiliated, especially when unexpected guests saw her without makeup. She recalled the shame she felt, realizing her individuality had always been treated as rebellion. And yet, the same thing she was judged for, wearing makeup, later became a source of praise when Robyn did it. During camping trips, as Christine and Janelle cooked and cleaned, Kody lavished Robyn with compliments just for looking put together. Fans never forgot that favoritism, nor the deep injustice of it. Even Janelle remembered how her son, Hunter, grew frustrated when Robyn's endless beauty routines delayed family activities. But Meri, ever conflicted, still tried to rationalize, saying everyone had their own interests. Christine with cooking, Janelle with camping, she and Robyn with self-care. That explanation only reignited debates among fans, who wondered if Meri was still protecting Robyn despite everything. Some accused her of forgetting the lies, the manipulation, and the emotional cruelty she had endured from both Kody and Robyn. Others, however, saw her as heartbreakingly human, still piecing herself together after decades of emotional imprisonment. Meanwhile, Janelle Brown carved her own path of survival. Married to Kody since 1993, she endured years of betrayal but finally walked away in 2022, determined to rebuild. Her journey wasn't easy. Her world shattered when she lost her beloved son, Garrison, in 2024. That tragedy not only broke her heart, but also exposed the devastating emotional distance between her and Kody. In season 19, her grief was raw, her anger justified. She confronted Kody without hesitation, accusing him of unequal treatment and betrayal. She even considered joining Meri in legal action over the Coyote Pass land, a move fans applauded. On the tell-all stage, Janelle shocked audiences when she bluntly told host Sukanya Krishnan that she simply didn't like Kody and Robin. Her honesty was refreshing, powerful, and liberating. Fans who had long seen her as the calm, forgiving wife finally witnessed her unapologetic truth. By 2025, Janelle was thriving far from the chaos of Flagstaff. Living in North Carolina near her daughter Madison, she found peace in family, farming, and freedom. She co-founded TID Farms with Madison and Caleb, channeling her pain into purpose. Her social media posts reflected pure joy, laugh-filled trips with friends, milestones with her grandchildren, and a life no longer defined by Kody's shadow. Each caption she shared was a declaration of freedom, a reminder that healing was possible even after decades of heartbreak.
And it's not just about my character, it's about their character. And who wants to run deep here?
Meri's voice may have gone viral, sparking headlines and shaking the foundation of Kody Brown's world, but her moment was only a single thread in a much larger story that fans have been watching unravel for over a decade. It is the story of women who were trained to share one man, women told to suppress themselves and endure in silence, women who for years traded their dreams for scraps of affection, and who are now, one by one, rejecting that broken narrative. Whether Meri will continue protecting fragments of her past or finally step fully into her own power remains uncertain. But one thing is clear. Her voice now rings louder than Kody's ever could. Strong, unfiltered, unapologetic. Her truth has finally pierced the silence, and fans are listening. While the world focused on Meri's fiery resurgence and Kody's unraveling grip on the family, Janelle Brown was quietly living her own transformation hundreds of miles away in Northie. Carolina, unlike Meri, whose emotions have often swung between fierce defiance and complicated loyalty, Janelle has chosen a different path, one rooted in peace, simplicity, and authenticity. After decades of betrayal, grief, and suppression, she has rebuilt her life on foundations of honesty and healing. In April 2025, she made a rare return to Flagstaff, where she reunited with old friends Christine and Angela. Their reunion, captured in joyful photos, radiated warmth. Janelle posted a heartfelt message about the power of female friendship, remembering how these women, once just co-workers in a strange polygamous household, became lifelines in her darkest hours. For Janelle, those friendships became anchors, laughter, love, and light without expectations. She recalled the silly games, the delicious meals, the easy joy that came with these women, a sharp contrast to the tension she once lived under with Kody and Robin. Those days of pretending, of enduring silent disapproval, are gone. Now she surrounds herself only with people who pour into her soul rather than drain it dry. In photos shared by her friend April, Janelle glowed with freedom, her smile unguarded, her posture unburdened. She looked like a woman who no longer cared to carry the weight of appearances, a woman who had detoxed her life of toxicity and chosen peace. Her decision to cut ties with Kody and Robin wasn't about revenge, it was about survival. After nearly 3 decades of being sidelined and dismissed in her marriage, Janelle realized she owed herself more than crumbs. She finally saw that Kody no longer viewed her as a partner, let alone a woman deserving of love or respect. His affection had become transactional, his promises paper-thin. Even before the final split in 2022, she sensed herself slipping away from him. The COVID-19 pandemic only accelerated her awakening, showing her in painful clarity how emotionally unavailable Kody had become. No longer willing to silence herself, Janelle walked away, and this time, she never looked back. In North Carolina, she began building a new life, not as Kody Brown's wife, but as her own woman. Alongside her daughter Madison and son-in-law Caleb, she co-founded TID Farms, a sanctuary where seeds of growth flourished not only in the soil, but in her spirit. But the past had not released its grip entirely. Janelle still had unresolved battles, particularly over the infamous Coyote Pass property, where she had invested her own money and sweat. She refused to let Kody erase her contributions. With quiet strength, she confronted him, and even considered legal action to claim what was rightfully hers. Finally, in early 2025, Kody sold the land and paid Janelle her fair share. To her, the payment was more than money. It was closure. It was the end of a chapter that had stolen years of her life. Yet just as she was finding stability, tragedy struck with devastating force. In March 2024, her beloved son Garrison passed away, and the grief was unlike anything she had ever known. It shattered her, leaving scars that no amount of strength could completely hide. Sister Wives Season 19 showed her raw pain, her trembling honesty, her confrontation with Kody about the ways he had failed not just her, but their children. Fans watched her fury burn, her heartbreak pour out, and her courage stand unshaken even in the face of unbearable loss. But as if her grief wasn't enough, the world dared to question her identity. Rumors swirled across social media suggesting Janelle was asexual or uninterested in intimacy, simply because she hadn't jumped into dating after her split like Christine had. The whispers were cruel, dismissive, and invasive. At the season 19 tell-all, Janelle finally silenced the speculation with a fiery mix of humor and strength. "I promise you I'm not asexual. I'm a very sexual being, a very earth mama," she declared. Fans erupted in support, applauding her unapologetic honesty. She explained that she hadn't started dating not because she was uninterested in love, but because she had been focused on rebuilding herself, grieving her son, and creating a life of substance. Unlike Christine, who found immediate joy in her new marriage with David Woolley in 2023, Janelle chose solitude, reflection, and inner peace. That doesn't mean she's closed herself off to love. It means she refuses to settle, refuses to rush, refuses to shape her life to fit society's expectations. This choice only deepened fans' admiration for her. They saw a woman who had shed the emotional clutter, who no longer pretended to like people she despised, who no longer answered to a man who had withheld love, and who no longer bowed to critics who questioned her worth. Today, Janelle answers only to herself, her family, and the land she tends with her own hands. Her transformation since her divorce has been nothing short of remarkable. She is no longer defined by the role of Kody's wife. She is defined by resilience, by authenticity, by the soil under her nails and the joy in her laughter. She has reclaimed her voice and her life, not for a show, not for appearances, but for herself. And in that decision, she has inspired thousands who once believed they too had to endure for the sake of an image. Janelle's liberation is not just her own, it is a revolution. While Christine was basking in the glow of her whirlwind romance with David Woolley, and Meri was finally unleashing a voice that had been silenced for decades, it was Janelle Brown, once the calm, unshakable backbone of the Brown family, who was experiencing the most layered, complicated transformation of all. For over 30 years, she had been tethered to a man who confused control with leadership, and her evolution didn't come with flashy fireworks or a quick new love story. Instead, it came slowly, painfully, with quiet determination and a clarity born of scars. Unlike Christine, who confidently stepped into dating and marriage, and unlike Meri, whose life had been defined by longing and betrayal, Janelle carved out a new path, one that prioritized peace, reflection, and independence above all else. Fans wondered endlessly if she'd follow Christine's footsteps into romance, but Janelle made it clear she didn't owe anyone a rebound relationship to prove her value. She wasn't performing healing for cameras or critics. She was living it, messy, authentic, and on her own terms. No sister wife carried as heavy a burden after leaving Kody as Janelle did. Financial chaos, grief, family fractures, and betrayal weighed on her in ways words barely capture. When she severed her spiritual bond with Kody in 2022, she relocated to North Carolina, where she poured her energy into her new agricultural venture, TID Farms, and into healing wounds far deeper than most realized. She wasn't just breaking free from polygamy's grip. She was untangling decades of emotional manipulation and chaos. But freedom didn't bring her peace immediately. Instead of giving her space, the public eye pried further, dissecting her choices, speculating on her sexuality, and questioning her desirability simply because she wasn't rushing into a new romance. By the time Sister Wives Season 19 aired, Janelle was ready to confront the rumors head-on. Exhausted by whispers and online narratives, she finally addressed them during the tell-all with piercing honesty. "I promise you I'm not asexual. I'm a very sexual being, a very earth mama," she declared, her voice strong but tired of the noise. It wasn't just a clapback, it was a boundary, a reclaiming. She reminded the world she had endured the unimaginable loss of her son, Garrison, and was still grieving. Love, intimacy, and healing weren't boxes to check for fans' approval. She refused to play relationship catch-up with Christine or Meri. She needed time, and more importantly, she had earned the right to take it. While the internet debated her love life, Janelle was focused on something entirely different: friendship, joy, and reclaiming her light. In April 2025, she returned briefly to Flagstaff for personal matters, but turned the trip into something meaningful by reuniting with Christine and Angela, friends who had known her long before the cameras rolled. She shared glowing photos and a heartfelt caption, "Contemplating tonight how amazing it is to have friends." These weren't just words, they were a declaration of survival. She laughed, reminisced, and embraced the kind of joy that once seemed impossible. This was not the Janelle who endured Kody's microaggressions in silence. This was a woman who had shed decades of guilt, who had reclaimed her voice and her worth, and who refused to ever shrink herself again. But while Janelle was rising, Kody remained unchanged, oblivious, defensive, and trapped in his own delusions. His refusal to take responsibility, his obsession with control, his blind loyalty to Robyn, and his chronic favoritism had shattered every marriage he once claimed to value. Season 19's tell-all only cemented what fans already knew. Instead of accountability, Kody and Robyn performed a clumsy PR dance, dodging questions from host Sukanya Krishnan and painting a false picture of unity. The facade was thin, and fans saw right through it. At one point, Kody even tried to suggest reconciliation with Janelle, a moment both laughable and sad. "Is there any hope for us?" he asked, still clinging to delusion. Janelle's response was swift and devastating. "We don't even exist in the same universe anymore." That one line crushed his fantasy and perfectly captured why their marriage had collapsed. Janelle had grown beyond him, evolved in ways he couldn't fathom, while he clung to control and excuses. And when she dared to address Robyn, the elephant in every room, Kody snapped, "Don't go down that road." Janelle's quiet reply said it all. "Then let's just leave it because I don't really want to." That moment revealed the truth. Conversations about Robyn were forbidden, her pedestal untouchable, and it was that silence that suffocated every marriage Kody had. Even Robyn, with her carefully rehearsed sympathy, couldn't hide her denial. When asked to revisit clips of Janelle's struggles, Robyn refused. "They're disturbing," she said with a smile that didn't match her words. She dismissed the past, claiming the footage was too destructive to watch. But fans knew the truth. What was more destructive than erasing history? What was more damaging than pretending Kody hadn't abandoned 3 wives to elevate one? Even when asked directly if Kody had failed his marriages, Robyn avoided honesty, claiming, "It takes 2. But her neutrality fooled no one. Everyone saw what Janelle, Christine, and Meri had been saying for years, that there was only ever one wife Kody truly wanted, and it was Robyn. And yet, through all the chaos, Janelle's focus never wavered. She wasn't bitter. She was free. While Kody proclaimed Robyn his soulmate and waxed poetic about their love story, Janelle poured herself into building something real. She lived near her daughter Madison, cherished her grandchildren, and worked her farm with pride. She grieved Garrison in her own time, refusing to let anyone rush her healing. And while fans speculated endlessly about her love life, Janelle found her joy elsewhere, in the earth beneath her feet, in friendships that had survived decades of chaos.